Hi there. So I'm going to go over a bunch of stuff pretty quickly, so pay attention. Try to make it interesting as I go. So the essence of what I'm going to be doing here is making two classes, and those classes are going to talk to each other. The first class is we're going to call, let's see, ask for word. Okay, I'm not totally happy with that name, but I'm going to go with it. Ask for word. You'll notice that it comes with a bunch of boilerplate here, which we'll strip out, and then you can see me write this stuff from the beginning. The first thing I'm going to do here is an import statement, java.util.scanner. What you need to know here is that Java consists of many different classes, some of which you have to import if you want to use them. And that's what we're doing here. We'll get into more of what that's all about later. So this basically gives me access to the scanner class, which is a class that allows me to get input from the keyboard. Okay? So what's the first thing you do in a class? You write your fields. So what I am going to do is create a new private, fields are always private, field for a scanner object. So we're just going to call it, let's see, we'll call it input. Sorry, it's a scanner object and we'll call it input. And okay, so fields should always be declared as private. So the next thing up is our constructor. So those are always public, ask for word, always the same name as the class, and we're not passing anything in. And what does this constructor do? It simply makes a new scanner object. So we're just going to say input, which is a variable of type scanner we've already declared, equals new scanner object. Cool. So now we've got a scanner object. And it turns out that we'll make another method here called a word. And the reason for that odd name will become clear in just a minute. And what we're going to do in this method is return input.next line. So this is a little cryptic, but all you need to know is that, remember, input is an object of the scanner class. It has a bunch of methods, one of which is next line, which will return whatever is input at the keyboard whenever this method a word is called. Okay, compiled. Oh, I forgot. All methods except the constructor always need a return type. This is going to actually return a string because input.nextLine is a method of the scanner class that returns whatever you type at the keyboard as a string. Okay, cool, compile. What did I do here? Let's see, cannot find constructor scanner. Oh, so silly, system.in. The scanner object actually, in order to get information from the keyboard, we need to tell it that, so we send in system.in, which means keyboard, get your information from the keyboard. Okay, cool. Now we're not really going to need to look in here again, but we're going to be calling this method a word a lot. So, okay. And I'm not even going to make one of these objects, but we could. Obviously, we could do that. I just said I wasn't going to, but I did. Right, what we're going to be actually doing is we're going to make another class, and it's going to do the same thing. And it's going to ask for, it's going to make objects of ask for word. Okay, so this class we shall call string playing with strings. I say that, I chose that name because it's important to play with programs, right? It's how you learn. So it's a good name. Okay, so playing with strings is actually going to make its own object of ask for word. So, so it needs to have a variable that will hold a reference to that object. So what's that class name? It's ask for word. And so we're going to do private, because fields are always private. Ask for word. And we'll call it get. We could call it anything we want, but we're going to call it get. And that's the only field we have right now. So then next thing is to make the constructor. And we write public for the constructor, the name of the class, because constructors are always the same name as their class. He's always the same name as the class. Playing with strings, could be an orchestra, but it isn't. Okay, playing with strings. And what this does is it actually, now we're going to say get, which we defined up above, but we didn't actually make a new, go through the process of making a new, and this is new to you, a new ask for word object, right? And that programmatically here, we're doing exactly the same thing as we did here when we do that, right? But instead of doing it manually, we're having the program do it. Okay, cool. So now that we'll create a word object. Now, if you remember, we'll make another method here, public, we'll call this one void playing. Or actually start playing here. What was the method in the ask for word class that allows us to get a word from the keyboard? It was a word, okay? So we're going to use that in just a second, but the first thing we have to do is put a prompt on the screen. And we'll simply say here, what is your name? Okay. And how are we going to get their name? We're going to call our object of ask for word type, which is called get, just looking up above. And what was that weird name we gave to that method? A word. That's why we named it a word, right? So this would make a little sense here. Get a word. So it actually retrieves whatever word is typed at the keyboard. I'm going to put a space here so that the cursor is not placed. I don't want to println there. I want print so it doesn't leaves the cursor right there waiting for me to type something in. And if I do println, it automatically does a line feed. Now this is actually going to retrieve a string, and I want to store it somewhere. So I'm going to store it in a string variable called temp. And we'll say that's equal to get a word. So just to prove that that does have the word that gets typed in, I always like to copy and paste. I'm going to do system out println. This time I'll do println. And I'm going to say whatever they type in, which is stored in what? It's stored in temp, right? And I'm going to add to that some text. So I use the plus sign, and I'm going to say temp space inside the quote is a nice word. A nice word, a nice name. Okay? And I need my closing brace here, and good to go. Compile, class compiled. Excellent. Let's now make a new one, and we'll call that plain method. What is your name? Okay, I will say my name is George. George is a nice name. Cool. Isn't that cool? Wow. Okay, well, maybe not so cool. Now, let's see. What else could we do here? We could get another word. So we use that temp variable again. We don't need to redefine it. We can just reuse it. And we'll equals get dot a word. So again, we're asking the get object, which is an object of the ask for word class, we're telling it to run its aword method, which asks for a word. But what did we forget? Oh, be careful not to forget this. We need a prompt, right? We need to tell the user what exactly it is that we want. Okay, so this time we'll say, what is your favorite color? A lot of you use this. And temp.get a word. So again, temp holds that. So now let's say that we want to, well, let's just show that this works. System out. I should have copied and pasted. Println dot. We'll just do temp here. We'll just repeat the color, right? Just to save time. Class compiled. Make a new one. And plain. What is your name? Fred. Fred is a nice name. What is your favorite color? Blue. Blue. Ah, it worked, right? It just echoed it, what I typed. Cool. So not too much more here. So it turns out that strings are not primitive types, right? So we know what the primitive types are. They are ints for storing integer values, boolean for storing true, false values, char for storing single characters, and double for storing whole numbers with decimal points. Right? Those are known as primitives because they're very simple data types, right? You can't break them down further. But strings are actually complicated data types. They actually lists of chars, if you think about it, right? And there's a lot of things we do with strings. If they're not capitalized, we capitalize them, or if they're capitalized, then we make them lowercase, or we check to see if one string is equal to another string, or sometimes we want to split strings apart in certain ways to isolate parts of strings. So strings are really like complicated. They're used a lot for all kinds of complicated things. So in fact, if you do this, if you go up to the help menu and you do Java class libraries, and you go, oh my goodness, look at this. I had no idea there was this much to Java. Yeah, there's a lot. So I hope you all know this. You can find things on a page by just doing Command F on a Mac. And I can type string here and finds the first occurrence of string, and I want that one. And this tells me all about the string class and all the methods of the string class. So here there are a bunch of constructors, right? And then a lot of methods. I can find the character at a particular position in the list of characters of a string. I can see if one string equals another string. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to stop there. So if I want to see if temp, remember the last time I used temp, the user types in their color, their favorite color, equals blue, then say something, which we'll not worry about right now. Now, a couple of problems here. Some of you may immediately remember that you don't use a single assignment, a single equal sign for when checking for equality. In Java, you use 2, right? But there's still a problem here. The problem is that strings are not primitives, right? Strings are complicated objects, and you can't do a single, just like equals like this when you're dealing with objects. You have to use a special method of the string class, and other classes will have this similar method called equals. So what we do is instead we say temp dot equals. Well, equals what? Well, the color we're interested in, which is blue, right? I bet I could do any color here. If they're equal, if what the user typed in is equal to blue, then I'm going to simply say, and this time I will copy to speed things up. Oops. It's not speeding things up. System out print len. Right, I'm going to tell them they're awesome for entering blue. Why not? Okay, and let's compile that. And we'll hide that. New page. And we'll make a new one of these guys. And we'll call its plain method. What is your name? Fred. What is your favorite color? Blue. Blue. Oh, why didn't it say awesome? Ah, because I typed in lowercase blue instead of uppercase blue. So let's try calling plain again. What is your name? Fred. What is your favorite color? Capital blue. Ah, that time it said awesome. Okay, so be aware that Java, all programming languages are very picky about things like uppercase and lowercase when comparing for equality. Okay, so let's see, let's just review here. We've gone over how to have one class use an object of another class. That was with this new, done programmatically instead of, by right-clicking and choosing new. Now we have a reference to a variable that holds a reference to that asked for word object. And every time we want to ask for a word, we can call the method of that class that asks for a word, which happens to be called a word. That's the name of the method. So we can do get a word, right? And it tells the the asked for word object, which is called get here, to call its a word method, which returns a string. Okay, and we've shown how we can combine variables that contain strings with string literals, which is just literally we've typed some text between quotation marks, and we've shown how to compare for equality using, instead of the equals sign, which we would use for the primitives in Boolean, char, and double, we can't use it for objects, and strings are objects of the string class. We have to use the equals method of the string class to do that. And this basically says if the string contained in temp equals the string that we supply in parentheses, then this whole expression evaluates to true, and whatever is after it is printed. So let's just finish up with an else clause here. Else, we'll say, let's see, I think I could print, yeah. But that color is good too. That would be nice. Okay, and I think that's all good. And so I'll close that, and I'll make one of these and do this for the last time. There we go, there we go. Boom, what is your name? Fred. What is your favorite color? Blue. Awesome. And we'll run it with the other input, just for the heck of it. What is your favorite? Fred. What is your favorite color? Red. Red, that color is good too. Okay, so using this information, you can do a lot of things, and I will let you know what your assignment is, okay, in Haiku, where you'll also find a copy of this project with these two classes that you can use to get started. Thanks, bye.